African Voices International, Freedom in Africa.
I am Modou Jammeh, Freedom Giant, African Voices International. Today I am to give a lecture on a topic that holds profound importance to us as Freedom Giants. That is being resolute as a Freedom Giant. We as African Voices International, we stand here as a collective whole. We are committed to the pursuit of freedom, justice, and dignity for every individual within Africa and even beyond. That is who African Voices International is. And then this topic, I'm going to break it down to two important parts. That is a freedom giant and, of course, being resolute. So a freedom giant is a warrior of change, the voice that refuses to be silenced, and the swords who stands firm in the face of adversity. That is who a freedom giant is. If once you want to accomplish something, you don't give up. You stand on what is right. You stand to make sure that the change that is best for the people is achieved. That is what a freedom giant does. And a freedom giant, in fact, embodies strength, perseverance, and a profound sense of responsibility towards his or her community. So a freedom giant also has to be that particular person who embodies strength, perseverance, and of course the sense of commitment to whatsoever is right for the community you serve. And on the other side of the topic, that is being resolute as a freedom giant. So what it means to be resolute, it means to be unwavering in your commitment, to pursue your goals with determination, and to stand up for what is right, even when you are faced with formidable challenges. No matter how hard things might become, for a freedom giant who is resolute, you tend to stand firm on what is right. You don't allow anything to break you down. You, in fact, no matter how hot it is to make you melt, you try to re-solidify yourself. You try to stand firm on what is right. That is what it means to be a resolute freedom giant. Now, I will have to connect this to one of the leaders that inspires me a lot, the great Nelson Mandela. In fact, this particular man served in prison for 27 good years. And when he came into power, he didn't use his power to revenge. Rather, he reconciled. He made sure that he worked towards bringing the change he always fought for ever since. All right, so now what are some of the characteristics that are found in a freedom giant? One of the key things is a visionary thinker. You need to be somebody who can be able to envision for the future. For example, if I say in Africa we have a lot of raw materials, but we are not able to manufacture them into finished and usable goods, then I envision that in 2030 Africa should be able to process most of its raw materials and use it, instead of buying them after we export them to be processed. We buy them again. I mean, that is more or less like +1 -1 for Africa, and we don't want that. We want to have plus, no minus for Africa. And that is what I envision for Africa in 2030. That is an example of a trait of a freedom giant. Now, another trait of a freedom giant, or characteristics of a freedom giant, is courage and integrity. A freedom giant acts with courage and upholds his or her values, creating the sense of trust and loyalty among his followers and among his peers, among the people he works with, among the people he works for. In fact, we want to work for the African people. We want to make sure that we are the voices of the African people. That is what a freedom giant wants to do. With courage, we are ready to go up to any level to make sure that Africa is given that freedom we desire. So another important characteristic is empathy. As a freedom giant who is resolute, you should be an empathetic leader. You connect with the struggles of the marginalized people, and in fact, you champion their rights. When you tend to feel like certain people are being marginalized and they have this particular right and it is not given to them, as a freedom giant, I should fight for them. without expecting any payment from them. You fight voluntarily and you fight very, very well as a freedom giant. That is what we do. So it's also another trait of a freedom giant. So to make it more understandable, we also have contemporary movements, let me say we used to have. And then that is the movement for Black Lives Matters, and then the youth activism, that is the climate justice movement that showcases how passionate youths are willing to confront powerful entities. Their determination exemplifies a new generation of freedom giants committed to creating change. So it doesn't matter how powerful the entities might be, are willing to confront powerful entities. Their determination exemplifies a new generation of freedom giants committed to creating change. So it doesn't matter how powerful the entities might be. As a freedom giant, you need to be courageous. I said it is one of the traits of a freedom giant who is resolute. You need to be courageous. You need to be somebody who is consistent and committed to what you are serving and what you are doing. So it is something that is part of us as freedom giants. So what are some of the challenges we face as freedom giants? That is looking at the fact that at some point in time, maybe not within African Voices International, but some of the challenges I can figure that might come is failure to unite. Once we are not able to unite, we cannot be able to achieve anything in life. In fact, if you look at the movement for the Black Lives Matters, it reminds us that unity is an essential aspect that is used to drive sustained change. Once we hold hands together, we can be able to bring that particular change. Looking at one African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, you have to go alone. But if you want to go far, you go together. So once we want to make sure that this particular change is a lot, this particular change is what we desire, we need to come together, hold hands, work hand in hand. That is from presidents up to the ladder end of every system or every anatomy within Africa. We must unite ourselves in making sure that we bring that particular change. So that is actually a very, very profound challenge we face as Africans. We need to make sure that we come together to bring this particular change. So as Resolute Freedom Giants, we also are committed to making sure that we unite. When we unite, we can be able to bring those particular changes we want to bring as Africans. So also we must understand that being resolute is an act of learning from what you learned in the past. I mean, when I say learning from what you learned, it means what you learn, you are trying to use it. In fact, when you had a challenge in the past and it nearly break you down, you have to use it this time to build yourself up. You learn from the lessons. So it's the ability to adapt our strategies is also very, very crucial in the pursuit for justice. Once you had something in the past that challenged you very well, now use it to challenge the future challenges. I mean, it is something we need to put across as Resolute Freedom Giants. So we need to be able to create support networks. That is, collective action amplifies our voices. Once we are able to support each other, when one is about to go down, we hold the person up to make sure that we all move together. That is what it means to be in solidarity. Yeah. So we also need to make sure that there is continuity of education. Education, like said by the great Nelson Mandela, is the key to changing the world. So knowledge empowers us. Once you have the knowledge, you are able to use it in the rightful manner. So that is why as Resolute Freedom Giants, we must equip ourselves with the necessary knowledge to making sure that we fight for what is right at all cost. That is what Freedom Giants do when they are resolute. So today, this particular topic, like I said before, it holds a profound importance to us. As Freedom Giants, we need to be committed to making sure that there is change in Africa. We need to be ready to work very, very hard. It's not about procrastinating. It's about thinking deep out of this box and acting efficiently. We don't just say we're going to do this, we're going to do this. We are fighting and we are fighting. We need you to fight with us in making sure that Africa becomes the Africa that we all envision for our children. Even if it is not for us, but our children to come, they should enjoy Africa. They should live a life of freedom, a life of justice, and a life of dignity. And it starts today. If you want to better the future, you start working today. In Africa, we are working already, and we need every individual within Africa to join hands with us as African Voices International to make sure that we bring the change that Africa truly desires, that Africa truly needs. And if you want something, you have to do something. When you do nothing, you get nothing. So as Africans, we have to work. We have to do something today in order to bring the change we desire tomorrow. When we do nothing today, then nothing happens tomorrow. We stay at where we are, and we don't pray for that. We are not ready to relent. We are not ready to stop. We are not stopping. We are fighting for what is right. Africa. We have to unite.
African Voices International, Freedom in Africa.